Hello crafters and welcome to another tutorial Thursday with me, Deepa from Designs by D. We are creating this fun penguin card today for Christmas in July. So let's take a look at the products we're using. We're using tons of stuff from Crafty Canuck. We have the Playful Penguins here. There are three of them and I just keep them connected when I do my die cutting. I've also got the Christmas icons here, again from Crafty Canuck. You get a fun light bulb and a Christmas hot chocolate mug. And then you've also got the postage border with pocket, again from Crafty Canuck. And that has more of like a Father's Day feel, but I love that postage border, so we're going to use that one today. I've also got these two stamp sets here. One is woodware and one is actually from Creative Expressions. There's two sentiments on here that I think that I want to use, so I'll just keep those aside and then decide later on. So I've got my colors of cardstock here. You can see I'm kind of going with a bit of a retro feel. I'm going to start with the Christmas icons die set, and I've got that light bulb. I'm not going to use the coffee mug for this one, but I'll go ahead and die cut this light bulb three times out of these three different colors of cardstock. So I've got this nice bright red, which is really indicative of Christmas. And then I've got this like more like lime green, which I thought looked really fun with the red. And then I've also got like a soft pink to kind of tone down those bright colors a little bit. So we've cut these three out, and we've also cut out the top little bit to cut out the tops of the bulbs there. You'll see how they kind of come together later. I'll attach them. But for now, let's move on to the penguins. And you can see I did run that through my die cutting machine just once, and it cut all three outlines of the penguins out. Now for these penguins, you're going to have to do some die cut inlay if you want. I'll show you my technique for doing them. So I did cut them out again using some gold metallic cardstock. And then I've grabbed my crafty scissors here and I'm just cutting off like the beak portion of the penguin on all three of these. And what I'm going to do is just carefully glue them on to that black frame of the penguin there. Now you'll notice I've only got the frame here. I do have to add the white in the center. Now if you wanted to have a bit more fun, you could add maybe a different color than white, maybe like a light pink or like a light purple or blue if you wanted to have some fun. Maybe you want them to look a little more like Pip from the Scrap and Stamp store. You can add some green and blue highlights on this penguin so that he looks more like Pip. Do something fun and unique to make these look fun for you. So I'm just going to continue and add the little beak to all three of them. You can see this third little penguin with his hands kind of put together like he's laughing. It's a little bit tougher to cut this one out because the hands kind of come in front, but all it does is require a little bit more notching with your scissors. Now I've got a white piece of cardstock, and here's where I add my background or that white center portion to the penguin. So I'm going to just go ahead and glue these outlines to the white cardstock. Now, if you go ahead and cut this out again, it's going to cut out that white portion again. So it doesn't make sense to use the dies with this. So what you're going to do is grab your scissors and do some more cutting around the edge. But before I do that, I wanted to add the eyes. So I've got some archival markers here. And I've got a really thin tip, and then I'm just going to go ahead and draw on the eyes. Now, you don't have to draw the eyes. You can keep them kind of closed. You can put maybe little gems or like black googly eyes or something if you wanted to inside, but I thought that I just kind of color them in here. You'll notice that the two penguins with their eyes wider are because they're doing something else. And then that little penguin who's kind of like smirking and laughing, I made his eyes a little smaller. So you can do that too. It's completely up to you. This is where the creative part of it comes in, and you can just make them what you want them. Now I am cutting carefully around the edge of the penguin, and you will notice like there are little bits of white sticking out. That's not a problem. That just means that I didn't cut close to the edge of the die cut as much as I could have, and I'm sure you'll have the same issue. It's kind of hard to do. So I'm going to grab a thicker black archival pen here, and I'm just going to color in the edge, right at the edge of that penguin, and you can see that it creates a nice seamless edge. You don't see any of the white sticking out, and I just went ahead and did that for all three of these penguins so that they could look flawless and really cute in the end. So that's a neat little trick, especially when you're doing this technique with your die cuts. So I've got my three penguins done. I'm going to set them aside. I'll go ahead and assemble my light bulbs now. All I really have to do is attach those tops to the bulbs. You'll notice I use some gold glitter cardstock. You can use whatever you want to go with your color scheme that you've got going on. And they have that little loop at the top. So you could potentially string them and create like a nice garland with them if you wanted to. You could keep the loop for this card if you wanted to, but I decided that I'm going to cut them off because I'm really going to have my string strung behind that part of the light bulb. So moving on, I've got that postage rectangle here. I've cut it out of white cardstock, and then I've also got some light blue cardstock for the background of my card. Now I am adding one more Crafty Canuck die set to this card. I'm using the Snowflake Flurry die set. And again, this is another die set. You have the option to kind of cut all those snowflakes apart, but I find that it's a bit more easier if I just keep everything intact and cut all of my snowflakes out in one go. I don't have to mess around with tons of little dies. It's all in one piece, and I just put it through my die cutting machine because most of the time you're cutting out one color for your snowflakes, right? And if you have two colors, then you can just run it through your die cut twice. Sorry, through your die cutting machine twice. So I find that this is the best technique for me. So for the penguins and for the snowflakes, because we're, as I said, usually cutting out of the same color, I'll keep those connected instead of detaching them. And I do that for all of my die cuts. So that's a neat little trick you can keep in mind when you're doing your die cutting. And it just saves time on cutting those pieces apart and also doing the actual die cutting. So you can see here I'm creating a nice little background with my snowflakes. I'm kind of attaching them all around the edges because keep in mind that postage frame is going to go in the center. So it's going to cover the center of the card. So we don't want to put snowflakes there because they're not going to be seen anyway. So I'm just kind of putting them along the four edges of this card panel. And you'll see here that you have to, or I'd say like the best technique to give this a real feel like it's pattern paper is to have some of the snowflakes hanging off the edge. Be sure to cut them off. That gives it a nice realistic or just a flow, like a good flow to the paper. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've added all the snowflakes I wanted. I did keep some of them to the side, some of the smaller ones to use at the end. So you could do that also, or you could cut out some more if you wanted. And I'm using a white gel pen here to just add little dots of snow as well in the background there, just to create different sizes. So you have snowflakes in the foreground and then the little dots, which are snowflakes in the background. Now I can go ahead and start kind of figuring out where I want my little guys to be and which sentiment I want to use. I'm going to have them having fun with the light bulbs because they are the playful penguins, right? And I can see that I want to use the scripty sentiment that I've got from the Creative Expression stamp set, which is with love for Christmas. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that out, but I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I'll actually heat emboss this in some gold embossing powder, and don't forget to use your anti-static powder tool, which I've done here. I'm using some Versamark ink, watermark ink. Any type of embossing ink will work, and I'm going to go ahead and heat that up with the powder on it, which I think is one of the funnest parts of heat embossing, is actually seeing the melting of that powder, especially for the shiny ones like this. It looks so fun when you melt that. That was just so satisfying to me, as my kids would say. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down the strip here so that I can attach it to my panel. I want it to have a nice size to it because I think that that red really ties in that bright red light bulb that we have. And I'm adding a little flag kind of at the end there. So now I can kind of see how this is going to come together. I like to, on multiple stages throughout my crafting process, kind of lay things out so I can just see how things are coming together. Then I can see what I need to add. Maybe I have too many pieces and they're too big for my card panel, which tends to happen to me a lot. And then I can save some pieces for something else. So you can see here that probably two penguins would have been enough, but I really like the combo of the three. And part of that is to do with the fact that I have three daughters and I love the number three. It just my third daughter, her name is Trinity. So the three is really just ingrained in my heart. So I love the three penguins. They kind of remind me of my three daughters. So I'm going to go ahead and just attach that postage panel here. You can see the snowflakes sticking out of the edge, just look really fun. And this is like a good background. You could, if you don't want to use the penguins, you don't want to use this design, just that background you could kind of use and then do something else in the center if you wanted. And I noticed my voice just kind of cracked there a little bit. I'm very sorry if my voice cracks in and out. I am kind of fighting off a bit of a cold right now. So sorry about that. But Yeah, we're just going to continue here. And now that I've kind of laid out where the light bulbs and the penguins are going to go, we have that one, that first one there on the left side, just kind of dancing or kind of holding on to the light bulb. We've got that second one with the red. He's just kind of peeking out of the top. And I am positioning the one on the right side first because I like to kind of set up the right and the left side. I'm only just realizing now that I've put that at the same angle as the green bulb. I probably should have changed that a little bit. But hey, it works. In the end, it's okay because that other little smirking or laughing penguin kind of covers up a bit of it, so it changes the shape of it. Now, for the last penguin in the center, I can kind of, now that I've got the left and the right done, I can easily center that one in the center, have him peeking out from the red light bulb there at the top. And then I can add my sentiment strip here. Now, you'll notice that for the two penguins, on the green and the pink light bulb, I did add foam adhesive so they stand up a little bit. Because the penguin on behind the red light bulb sticks behind it, I did just glue that flat on the panel, and then I added all three light bulbs with foam adhesive as well. So this card has a lot of dimension on it. Again, I've attached the sentiment strip with some foam adhesive and I've cut out the overhanging bit, and now I've got some gold twine here. I want it to be the garland that these light bulbs are strung up on. So I'm going to try and tuck them in behind the tops of the light bulbs, which is why I cut off that little hoop part. And I'm also going to kind of twist up the twine a little bit to give it more of a fun, playful look. This twine is actually going to go in front of that center penguin a little bit. I am trying to glue it down, thinking, maybe somehow this will stick, but it does not because the twine is pretty thick and it's pretty textured. So that liquid glue is not going to hold it down. So I did grab the foam squares. I took off the adhesive on both sides, attached it to that picking tool that I have, which is a really neat crafty tool. And it is available in the store. It's from another one of our Canadian brands from Prison Studios. And I love that it has that beautiful rose gold color to it. It's very pretty. So, anyways, I am using it to kind of hold on to that sticky foam square and kind of place it behind the top of the light bulb and then stick it down on top of that twine so that it kind of holds it down. So the twine is really stuck down behind the light bulbs, and then I'm going to tape it behind the back of the card panel too. Sorry, this is a little bit off screen, but I am folding down that twine and I am sticking it down to the card panel. Now, washi tape is what I had on hand. I would recommend just using regular tape because it's a lot stronger and is going to keep that twine in place. And so I did that for both sides, and I made sure to kind of pull the twine taut on either side so that it keeps the shape that I want. So you can see here that I've got the twine to kind of stay below Mr. Penguin's face there in the center, but later on it kind of sticks up above it. I can adjust that. I'm sorry. I think that all my final pictures have it covering his face, but I can just move it down later on. So that's not something that's permanent. You can move that around a little bit in between the bulbs. The twine is totally manipulatable, if that's a word. So now I've got those extra snowflakes, which I'm going to add on the bulbs and around the sentiment there just to bring some more of those snowflakes into the foreground and pull this entire design together. I think that's it's an important thing to do if you want to create that flow in your card. So it's another quick tip. So something from your background, whatever it may be, a shape, a design, just take one or two or three of them and place them in the foreground, and it pulls the entire scene together. Now I've also got these other sparklet gems, which are also available in the shop. I'm going to place them around the design here to give it a bit of bling, and that finishes up our card for today. And everything that has been used in this video is linked down in the description down below. If there's something that is discontinued or maybe old or I can't find, I will link something similar for you. So do check that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell because we have tons more crafty fun for Christmas in July coming your way this month. So I'll see you then and have a great day. Bye.